Hi, my name is Aaron, this is my show Reeducation, and I guess I gotta talk about why I was put in YouTube jail over the last week. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So earlier last week, I got put into YouTube jail for what I assume was because a bunch of Nazis mass flagged one of my videos that I uploaded over a year ago. The video itself was an examination of the Clown World meme and how it's a Nazi dog whistle. It essentially railed against hate speech. Also, I forgot to mention that it wasn't even my video, but in fact a mirror of a video by another YouTuber named Vosh. And I was hosting it on my channel because, again, a few months ago it was mass flagged on his channel and taken down as well. I thought that was a massive injustice, so I figured that I would host a mirror of it on my channel. Now, unbeknownst to me, not long afterward, Vosh actually won the dispute and the video became accessible on his channel again. Hooray! But over a year later, now I am in fact facing the same problem where I'm being false flagged for the exact same video, and my channel ended up getting shut down because of it, like I said, for the last week. I filed a dispute with YouTube, and within minutes my dispute was rejected, claiming that it was apparently reviewed by the YouTube team and deemed inappropriate. So apparently it was deemed appropriate to play on his platform, but not on mine. I tried to contact YouTube on Twitter, and they told me again to reference back to the email that they sent me, again without fixing any of the problems, and many people tweeted at YouTube as well, on my behalf, which I really do appreciate. Thank you, every single one of you, for doing that. Now, I wish I had known at the time that this video was still accessible on Vosh's channel, because I would have mentioned that to YouTube, but unfortunately they didn't have the time of day to listen to anything I had to say, and unfortunately I personally had no idea at the time, and YouTube didn't even bother to look into it, which is completely unsurprising. Now, I host a few mirrors on my channel, especially when someone in the leftist community has a video taken down by right-wing chuds or Nazis. The other mirror I have is actually a Thought Slime video that was again false flagged and taken down for the exact same reason. In both instances, I had fundamental disagreements with a few of the things that the creators were saying, but I felt that the importance of spreading their message around when it was being suppressed by fascists was far outweighed by my minor differences in opinion. And in both instances, it was not because of the content of the videos that they were shut down, but in fact the censorious right who forced YouTube to block this content from being viewed. I have no illusion that YouTube has any desire to keep me on its platform. Honestly, we've had a hate-hate relationship ever since I started on here, and that's why I rely on you, the viewer, to keep this show going. They limit or demonetize almost every single one of my videos, they put strikes on my channel and never remove them, and they never solve any of the problems that I bring to them in an equitable way. This is shitty because strikes on your channel cause massive problems algorithmically. So, as I was already having lots of problems with people being unsubscribed automatically by YouTube, including my mother, and those who are still subscribed not informed about my uploads, now I also have to deal with whatever slimy BS punishment YouTube.com concocts for committing the unforgivable sin of hosting a video against hate speech on my channel. Now, moving on from my personal issues to the wider problem, it seems that within the same week or two, massive censorship was going across the entire leftist community. I've been getting reports from leftist content creators all month about how they're having their views or engagement limited by YouTube, one of whom is a fellow YouTuber named Lucky Black Cat, who you should all subscribe to, who informed me that they are no longer being promoted by the YouTube algorithm, apparently having many of their videos basically not shown to anybody within the last month or so. Also, many platforms are either not talking about or forcibly suppressing news about the protests in Paris and in India, the latter of which being the largest protest in human history. Specifically, the Jimmy Dore Show had their posts censored on Facebook about the India protests, and I've even heard murmurings of other individuals being hit with similar problems as well. Most notably, a channel called Second Thought had a video that they did about the CIA completely blocked and censored from being able to be shared or even viewed in many instances. I personally tried to watch this video on my smart TV, and it completely denied me from being able to even view it without clicking through a bunch of extra BS, and I even heard a lot of other people that were unable to view it at all. Even the share button was removed from this video, and in fact, the creator of the video, the person who hosts Second Thought, wasn't even told that this video was being shadow banned. It just sort of happened. Interestingly, when that same YouTuber I was talking about before named Vosh brought up this whole problem on stream, it seemed like a lot of his audience began to deny the possibility that government agencies would have any involvement in suppressing leftist content on YouTube or other social media platforms, which gave me, I don't know, a really weird feeling. And anecdotally, watching that video, something about the audience's reaction just didn't sit right. Now, I don't think I have to say this to anybody in my audience because most of you already know this, but leftists have had a very long history and involvement with different government agencies trying to shut them down or destroy them entirely for years. This goes back before 1903 when the government created the Anarchist Exclusion Act, where they essentially made anarchism illegal in the United States, and it was a deportable offense. And this goes all the way up to the 1960s with COINTELPRO, which was a government agency specifically designed to destroy leftist movements, and was responsible for eroding the Black Panther movement away entirely. Not to mention the history of union busting with the Pinkertons, deportation of political dissidents, and outright executions of people who fought against the government. And a lot of people underestimate how incredibly easy it would be and how few resources it would take to be able to cause massive unrest in leftist spaces online right now. If you haven't noticed, it's pretty easy to get leftists to fight one another. All you have to do is find some sort of racial or gender or sexual angle to any topic and basically describe how it's cringe, and then take that one cringe aspect, remove it from context, and exaggerate its severity. Some basic examples of this off the top of my head could be maybe awkwardly flirting with somebody, and that's immediately construed as sexual harassment, or speaking about the importance of class struggle and having that morphed completely into you being a class reductionist, or taking a photo of yourself in the same room as a communist flag, which is completely misinterpreted as you being a tanky or a Stalinist, or out of context audio or video clips that make you seem like you believe all kinds of things that you don't. There are entire YouTube channels and Twitter pages dedicated for this kind of thing. It's actually become a bit of a meme now that people are able to go into somebody's Twitter history or somebody's Facebook history, find some random tweet, take it out of context, and then cancel that person forever because of it. Cancel in heavy scare quotes there. And that's the kind of stuff that gets spread around extremely easily. It's memeable, and it gains a lot of traction because people feel morally justified when they attack someone for doing something that they consider to be anti-leftist. And not to mention, some people just genuinely love the feeling of destroying somebody else, especially if they see that person as having more power or more influence or more beauty or more information or whatever it is than they have. Then they almost feel like they are justified in destroying that person. And you can do this with essentially any argument, and unfortunately, we do it to ourselves so often that any external agitator would have absolutely no problem just mimicking our infighting and disputes and exacerbating it. Of course, that doesn't mean that all criticism is CIA or FBI spooks trying to destroy the left. By all means, there are a ton of valid criticisms you can make about any of the creators within BreadTube or YouTube in general, but to say that it isn't at least a possibility is shockingly naive, given the history and reality of what we have to deal with every single day. Unfortunately, it is extremely difficult to know who's who and what individuals are actually agitating at this time. But honestly, that doesn't really matter. If a person is causing trouble and taking what people say in bad faith, starting fights, encouraging others to bully individuals, who really cares if it's CIA or some chud disguised as a leftist or an actual leftist themselves? The result is ostensibly the same: our mutual destruction. So unfortunately, there's no real silver bullet to any of these problems. All you have to do is be extremely skeptical when you hear negative remarks about people in your community. Research it yourself, and always be open to listening to a second opinion. We have to use our critical thinking skills here. Passing judgment on individuals based on what someone else has said about them before you've actually seen their content or talked to them in person is foolish. Even if you completely trust whoever is talking shit about them, they might be wrong, and you have to think for yourself. Anyway, that's my show. My name is Aaron. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said before, I will not get sponsored by capitalist businesses, and YouTube wants to do everything they can to disincentivize you from watching my channel. So please, please, please donate to me on Patreon. The link is in the description box below. Also, check out my merch store. I sell all kinds of really cool radical anarchist merch, and all of the proceeds of that go directly to food and rent, which is really, really helpful, especially right around the Christmas season. So do all of those things. Make sure you're also hitting the bell button, because they're not going to tell you when I release a new video, and make sure you're subscribed, because that's what YouTubers say at the end of every video. Thank you very much for watching. I'm exhausted. Have a nice day.